Oh, I'm doing it.
Whenever you're ready.
We're here. Hi, everybody. Welcome to a paid episode of a Life Lived Trans podcast. So if you're listening to this, you're only getting the first 10 minutes of the dish. And then we get into the deep dive. So welcome to a Life Lived Trans podcast with your hosts, Marty P, that's me, and Lenny Z, that's he.
Hi.
We're so excited to bring you weekly doses of wisdom from two old trans knees who have bad knees, who have seen it all before. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, you'll only get to hear the first 10 minutes. Oh, I've already said that. Oh, you do. See, I always they buried the
edit
lead.
it
Okay.
in post.
No, it's okay. Good. We're an open book. Just keep the cameras rolling, for Christ's sake. Okay. But if you want to hear all of the delicious hot tea and see the hot tea, you can actually, there's an actual level, a level in the Patreon that you can see us visually. So check out our Patreon at patreon.com/a life lived trans to get all the gossip. Links will be in the description below. Hello, Lenny Zenith. How are you?
Hello, darling. You're looking quite fabulous today.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'm all pink. I feel I'm on one in the pink or in the stink or whatever. I'm
pink
here.
On the outside and on the inside. Love.
Yeah, a little bit of a stinky migraine, but I'm here.
So today we're going to be talking about healthcare and medical care and dealing with the medical profession and what it was like in the dark ages before they knew what they were doing and what we're experiencing now as trans elders, because trans elders have particularly specific needs with regards to our aging and hormones and even surgery in our later years. And Marty, I understand you had a particularly interesting doctor.
Doctor Longjohn. My dreams are still about Doctor Longjohn. Well, I had this dentist who's over 7 feet tall. I had a dentist who's over 7 feet tall. His name was Doctor Longjohn, and he answered every call. Boom, 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 boom. I went to Longjohn's office. I said, "Doctor, this pain is killing me." I went to Longjohn's office. I said, "Doctor, this pain is killing." He said, "Don't worry, baby. It's just your cavity needs a little filling." Oh! Well, he took out his trusty drill. He told me to open wide.
I'm loving
Anyways.
this. He told me he wouldn't hurt me, but he filled my
whole inside. Oh, Long John, don't you ever go away. No, because you thrill me when you drill me, and I don't need no Novocaine today. Oh,
we have to see if we can get Bette Midler to come on the show and do a little love
God.
version. I don't know if
I
she's
used to love doing that
not,
song.
You do it really well, and I think you should find.
You could play a funky, steamy bass behind it.
I will, and I'll put on a doctor's coat and
that'd be great. We could do it because you got to really belt it out. It's like I project, and if I project, I'd blow your ears off.
Oh yeah, I'd do the same thing if I was doing that. But good job, Marty. We both love Bette Midler.
Yeah, so doctors. I thought some shits and giggles before we get into it, because we've been lab rats our whole life.
Absolutely.
Our whole fucking life. It's like it started at the beginning with like the trans experience in the 70s. You know how archaic it was. Everybody was like, "Oh my God, like what's that?" It was like university hospitals only. And then now at the end, I like to say I am embarking, I'm dancing into, I'm at the youth of my golden age. That's how I look at it. So as I'm dancing into this golden age, I still get fucking doctors that go, "You're what?" And it's like, I told you I was told you I was transsexual, like when I 2 years ago to the doctor, and he goes, "Oh, really? Do you still have your testicles?" And I'd say, "Oh yeah, wait a minute. Do you want to see them? They were in my purse." You know what I mean? So here we are again having to talk about, Oh my God. Okay, why did you switch my lab results to male now? Now that you fucking know that I'm trans, it's like I've been on estrogen my whole fucking life. It's like you need because when I had heart stuff starting to happen, it's like they had to do some research and they realized it's like, oh yeah, we do have to do you as how you have been living because you've been taking estrogen for so long. We have to test your blood levels as a female. You know what I mean? Like it's like, and so these are all the questions and concerns that are alarming as I age out because I don't want to have the be the one that has to have the wherewithal to tell these doctors of how to take care of me as I start aging out. For Christ's sakes, it's been insane.
And the thing is like it changes, it makes epigenetic modifications. Specifically, I'm just
It makes
reading here,
what?
epigenetic modifications.
Ooh, I like
Basically, it
that.
doesn't change your
Epigenetic.
DNA sequence, but it specifically changes DNA methylation patterns in blood cells. So all of a sudden, you're
Oh.
more female than male. So it does turn you into someone who is more biologically female or male in my case.
Yeah, yeah, because
And
you got the breast tissue, you have the fat, yeah, estrogen, like that gives you all the fat, that all the hormone flab and all that stuff, and so you are a different. Your meat suit is different
right, your meat suit.
than what you came in with, right?
Right. And I was, and we've talked about this before, I was very fortunate. My parents saw how distressed and upset I was. They didn't get it. They took me to a doctor, and I had a pediatric psychiatrist and a endocrinologist in 1974.
You were so
And
lucky,
I was very lucky, and my parents still weren't thrilled about it, but they said
but
we
still,
can.
you knew. It's like to
I
actually
knew
have it to
because I went to
know.
the library and read up like you did about Christine Jorgensen. And this one endocrinologist, Kathleen Reeves at Tulane Medical Center, said, I think we know what's going on. I can't help you right now because they didn't use puberty blockers, which would have been such a godsend.
Oh my
God,
God,
I
eh?
had to bind my chest for like,
Did they use them on cis kids back then yet?
I don't think they did it, use puberty blockers until
Because
that.
that's the thing we want to make note is that cis persons can get gender affirming HRT, surgeries at any fucking age, whenever they fucking need it. And it's like, and then, oh no, trans. Oh no, we have to like save the children. Like, what the fuck? Shut
Right.
up.
In the 1980s, they started doing that. But she said, come back when you're 18. And fortunately, probably the day of my birthday, I went back
Right.
and got my first testosterone shot. And she was really supportive. And I think she was a lesbian. I'm not sure, but I don't want to spread any rumors. But
Oh
she's
my
since
God. We're not one
passed.
to, we don't gossip here.
But she saved my
Our
life,
producer does. Our producer does.
But so that was very fortunate for me at that time. And then, as we have all these decades and decades of research, some of which was started by Magnus Hirschfeld in the 20s in Berlin, which
Good
was
old Mac.
unfortunately destroyed by the fucking Nazis,
Fascists. Yeah.
fascists. And we would have known so much more. We would have known how to take care of people who were born with this particular anomaly. It's hard for
Anomaly.
me to
Yeah.
say.
Can I just stop for a second? We're
Yes,
just about
please.
to hit the 10-minute mark, so I want to say goodbye to all you freebies. And it's like,
Freeloaders.
and
Oops.
freeloaders. And it's like, if you really care about the trans experience and older seniors that are just trying to get by and like leave testimony for everybody so we're not like duped by fascists, it's like you will do your duty and go to patreon.com, a life lived trans, and,
Because
throw a few shekels.
I think we're really trying to help the community and the
We
wider
are. All,
world to
all jokes
understand us.
aside, yeah.
Yeah, help the parents of trans youth and help trans people who
Yeah.
are going through this process, which is challenging, and one day we'll just be seen as, people who just have a slight difference than other
Yeah.
human beings. We are human beings, and we just want to
Exactly.
live our lives. So
Not
please
just
support us if you can.
please support us. Thank you. Please support our anomalies. Thank you.
But after you met Doctor Longjohn, tell us about what it was like when you didn't have access to
Oh my
actual
God.
medical care.
It
How
was
did you get
what?
your hormones?
Well, it was pretty wild. It was pretty scary. It was back in the late 1970s, actually 1978. I was
Wow.
16 years of age and 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. And here's the story. I ran away to Vancouver. And I think I mentioned this before, so it doesn't matter. But it's like, yeah, I had to run away to Vancouver, 1,000 kilometers over the fucking Rocky Mountains
Wow.
from the prairies, and with a whole bunch of runaways on a Greyhound bus, actually Lou Reed playing on on a fucking transistor radio, like Walk on the Wild Side. It's
Wow.
crazy, that stuff, or like a recording device. I don't know what it was back then. We were listening to little boom boxes then, yeah. So in the back of the bus, and we went out to. A herd of kids took me out there to learn the ways on Davie Street, and that's where you figured out how to become a transsexual woman, and you had to, become an apprentice underneath you know, uh, find a trans mother that you could apprentice under, basically, and there, I found her hormones in her freezer, and I started
Wow.
popping them. And then it's like, and then she found out, but it was too late. I was already on them for about 6 months, and she told me the doctors that I'd have to go to and stuff once I, got my fake ID and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because back then it was a stone age. You could really dupe a lot before it would come back to bite you, right?
But you
So,
knew, but it's so interesting because of you knew you had to get away from home. You knew you
yeah,
had to go someplace where you were more accepted. You
yeah.
knew that you wanted to transition and that
And I moved heaven and earth to do it.
you want you and that's what I did as well. It's like I didn't have a lot of research to go by, but
I had to leave
in
my
my
family, everybody.
the
Yeah,
very core of my being, even though my mother was really upset with me and angry, and it seems like
yeah,
she was, didn't like me, but I knew that wasn't true. She was just scared. I knew that I had to live my truth, and you managed to do that. We both managed to do that, and you drove 1,000 miles, I guess, or 10 hours to.
yeah. It was, well, actually, it was probably even longer. Yeah, it's from Vancouver, Calgary to Vancouver. Like it's a
It
lot.
says 11 hours.
It's about an 18-hour bus ride,
Oh my
like
god.
almost a day. Yeah,
And so you
over the
went to
mountains.
get the help you needed, and it's not like what we've seen on Pose, where they had houses here in upper New York, up the Upper West Side
Yeah.
of New York, which were a lot of drag queens, but a lot of them were trans as well.
Well,
Um,
there could have been those there. I don't know, but for me, it was the Hookers on Davie, right? There's an actual documentary called Hookers on Davie. It's a quite famous one. So watch that one. It's available on Blu-ray now. I'm actually on it now. Like they did a 40th anniversary of it, and last year they had me when they were redigitizing it, like, so it actually looks like you feel like you're in the 1980s. It's they've like remastered it so well. It's
oh,
freaky. I can't
nice.
even watch the
I
whole thing.
can't
It
wait to
makes
watch it.
it's so
Hopefully there's
intense.
somewhere on Patreon where we can put links and notes for
Yeah,
some of these things
yeah,
that we're talking
yeah. I'll
about,
do that.
so
I'll do
that
that.
people can find access to see that, because it's a microcosm of something that was happening all over the world,
Yeah,
where
everybody had a Davy Street. Yeah,
trans women mostly, but trans men had their sort of more silent communities because we were the
yeah.
strong silent type, but trans women had these communities where they supported each other and helped each other in the dark ages before there was decent medical care.
Yeah, absolutely. And those were the streets where everybody worked. And it was in Vancouver. It was really cool because cisgender hookers were working with transsexual hookers, right? And Tiggy and I were really pretty, and they allowed us to work right away when we were working, because we drew in the pedophiles,
So
basically,
you'd be the
probably.
appetizer.
Yeah, yeah. It's like it was, and so, and we'd always be, it was our time of the month type of thing, or it's like God, or we looked so young, it looked like we couldn't even get it. Like, you know what I mean? We were really, really young. So, so that's where you learned how to figure out how to survive and find doctors, and there was also, the dark back alley, pumping people that were doing stuff. But luckily, I never, went and did that. I had an experience that when I was apprenticing with my trans mother, I was actually loaned out to my auntie, like, or something like that. Because she was having problems with like some of the silicone shifting, and I was
Oh,
like, I couldn't believe it, and I had to boil these like these bags that it's very easy now to do it, like, you know, those boiling bags, you can eat those hot or cold bags that you put on, you know,
mm-hmm.
anyways, but you had to like boil these fucking things before, like to warm them up and then cool them down, and then so she'd put compresses because she was trying to mold back this fucking shit on her fucking hips and stuff.
Oh my
And I
God.
remember her just telling me what, because I had no idea what it was. And I remember I was on acid because I was always on acid, like always, like I was such an acid freak. And I remember her telling me this, and I'm going through it, and I'm trying to focus and help her. And I remember just thinking, I will never fucking do that. I don't give a shit if I look like a brick.
And that's the thing, and we need to point this out. I think we spoke in our last episode about the Scrimeti case in Tennessee, where they're banning uh, any kind of gender affirming care for trans youth, which is actually life saving care, even though that same care is provided to cisgender kids.
Yeah.
If a teenage boy gets gynecomastia because he starts growing breast
Yeah.
tissue, he can go and get surgery. Or if a girl wants to have her breast reduced or augmented, that's okay. Or, you know, plastic surgery or rhinoplasty. But trans care, even though it saves lives, is now prohibited in Tennessee and a few other states here.
Yeah.
And in, I think in the UK, Carly,
Hello.
what is the situation in the UK for trans youth, please?
So we had a thing called the CAS review, which has effectively banned the provision of healthcare within the NHS for anyone under the age of 18. And
Wow.
I believe it has also criminalized the use of puberty blockers as a cross-sex treatment. So you have to now go abroad, which obviously comes as well with risk of arrest if you get caught
Oh
with.
my God. And so thank you for piping in on
So
that.
we're
So,
basically back to where we started.
Well, yes, but you can still get them for precocious puberty. So if you're a cis person, you can still take
That's
the. They're
so
safe.
stupid.
There's safe medicines if you're not trans.
Jesus.
and so if you're trans, they're mutilating and they're, you know, you can't have children and they're sterilizing.
Yes.
But for
So basic.
cisgender kids, it's fine.
Wow.
So what are we, from a
Yeah.
fucking different planet? It's so
So
crazy.
basically, the inmates have taken over the asylum in Britain now too.
Well, Wes Streeting's taken over the asylum, and he is
Right.
probably the. You think I'm a pick me mom? He is the biggest pick me faggot that you have ever met in your
Yeah.
life.
Oh,
Let me
is he
say.
gay? Really?
Yes,
Yeah, and
he's
he's
gay, and
gay.
he fucking hates trannies so
He's
much.
Secretary of State for Health and Social Care in the UK. Wow. What? Wow.
Is that J.K. Rowling's daughter or something?
Yeah,
Literally,
probably.
God.
But it's horrible. And, you know, so the same care, and this is what we need to tell people who aren't listening or who
Yeah.
are, you know, not familiar with this, is that you're putting these kids in harm's way. And you know, they will go
Period.
and get black market hormones or try to
We'll do anything.
make their own hormones at home, which is could be deadly.
And can I just mention, it's like, I just want to swing back to this, but it relates to this, is that that auntie that was pumping, and then I said, oh, I'll never fucking do that, even if I was a brick. But it's like, I'm saying that from a place of fucking privilege. It's like, I won the genetic lottery. That's why I call it blessed with the curse, right? And it's like, you know, I was, you know, but the pump, you know, the pumping that went on and everything, you had to do it to survive. You would do anything. That's why we do that. And we'll go back to pumping silicone, like industrial grade silicone, into our hips, into our face, into whatever, to make us look, into our boobs. Yeah, to make it will do anything so that we pass to be safe, which is an oxymoron, because that isn't safe.
Right. It's a total oxymoron.
Yeah.
We're doing unsafe things in hopes that we'll remain safe in society.
We're on
Because,
fire here, honey.
yeah, we really are.
Yeah.
And so we need to make sure that these laws get overturned. And the Cass review that happened in England has actually been weaponized here in the United States to pass these
Yeah.
laws, which now they're even saying that people on Medicare, because I'm older than Marty by 9 months, and will be on
Which in
Medicare soon.
tranny years is like 10 years.
Ah! She'll just never let me live that down. It's just months, honey. But, imagine if I'm, go to get my Medicare and they say all of a sudden I can't get, my body doesn't produce any hormones. I will die without my hormones. And
Yeah.
now let's talk about, so
I tried no hormones for 10 years,
no.
That's when I started my content creation on YouTube in 2017. I wasn't on hormones. I was talking about, oh, you don't have to be on hormones. I was a fucking idiot. Oh my God. And
I've
then
gone through
finally
my
I
pick
started
me phase,
I've
too.
started having a relationship with my audience, and they started seeing I was like really sick. I was really like no energy and stuff. And they said, when's the last time you had your hormones checked? And I was like, after, negating that for a while, I went and got it checked. I was so flatlined. I talked to my doctor. He said, doctors. I said, well, he goes, we need to put you on hormones. It's like you're in menopause. And I said, well, you remember I'm trans. And that's when he said again, oh, you're trans, and he asked me again, do you have your testicles? He fucking said it again.
God.
And it's like, and so I'm going like, okay. It's like he goes, well, it doesn't matter. He says, you're exhibiting the how you're feeling and everything, and what your levels are like. Let's get you back on whatever you were. So I did, and when I did, I fucking started to level out, but not as good as I used to. So then I went to an actual endocrinologist again, and then he's the one that said, oh yeah, let's give you a microdose of testosterone too. And now, Bob's your uncle, honey. Here she is. Yeah, and I grew
Well,
a cup size
oh, wow.
on testosterone.
Thank you, doctor.
I know. Talk
and
about gender fucking.
Right. Right. And,
That's
I
me.
went through periods of time if I was unemployed where I couldn't afford hormones or I couldn't afford to go to the doctor. And all of a sudden my period started again, which was fucking horrifying. And I was
I
punching
bet.
myself in the stomach trying to make something break,
Oh,
hoping that,
Jesus.
it wouldn't happen. I
I
did
believe
that
it.
when I was a kid too, because it was just gender
Yeah.
dysphoria is a
Oh,
bitch.
that's so sad.
And, but let's talk a little bit about how hormones really put me, and I would assume you have the same experience, back into balance emotionally and psychologically
Yes.
because we feel like ourselves.
Yeah. Back into balance. Yeah. Well, I remember the beginning. I can't really remember. I remember the beginning with me and Tiggy, like when we're taking them, consistently type of thing. And we actually wrote a song called The Hormone Blues. And we just were laying on the couch and we're going, oh, we got the hormone. These are the hormone blues. And it's like we'd always go, and Tiggy would start out, I got the landlord pounding on the back door, black hormone blues. And then I'd go, and then I'd add, I got my landlord pound. No, then I go, I got my landlord pounding on the back door, black-eyed blues, and then she'd go, I got my landlord pounding on the back eye, beaten by my man, black eyed blues, and we just kept creating this song. I remember
I
when
wish there was a recording of that.
Oh my God, it was so much fun. It's like, but it was us, making fun of like what we were feeling, right? And because it was just the emotional roller coasters from hell. It was just insane. And we were taking so many of them, fistfuls of fucking Premarin and shit.
And I know when I first started, I didn't really feel anything at first, but I did notice almost
Which is wrong,
immediately-
by the way. Do not do that.
Don't do that. Yes.
Like,
Do
see
not
a fucking
self-medicate.
doctor.
See a doctor. But I was seeing a doctor, and the two things I noticed immediately were my libido shot through the roof. I would have fucked anybody and anything.
Yes,
like,
testosterone
immediately.
does that. Oh my God, that happened to me when they added the little bit. And
Right.
he goes, take it every day. And I was like dilating every day religiously. And it's like, and it was like I was once every 6 months before that. And it
Right.
was like, I was just like, put the dilator down and go to bed. And then I called him and he said, he just laughed and I thought that might happen. He says, let's do it once every 3 days.
Yeah. And then, but when the testosterone kicked in, because I was always a sensitive child, and I would cry at drop of a hat or any movie, and then all my
Aw.
emotions kind of leveled out. I wouldn't say I didn't get like roid rage, where I was like, "Ah, I'm gonna beat somebody up or lose my
Because
temper."
trans men do. They always go through this asshole period.
But what I've noticed is they started me off on a very low dosage compared to what they
Oh,
give my
good.
my
Oh,
trans man friends. They'll
right.
have like hairy chests and like full beards. My beard didn't come in for like 10 years.
It was
And
a gradual thing,
it was
yeah.
which I
Which
thought
is
was
what you
actually a
should.
safe thing. It's
Yes.
like
Well,
you
that's why it should be. That's why we need it
level up.
earlier.
Yes, exactly. And I
Yeah.
started, right at 18. If
Yeah.
I could have started earlier, it probably would have been better. But then my
Right.
shoulders got a little bigger, my jaw got a little wider, and other parts of me grew a little bit more, which made the sexual experience, the intimate
Sure.
experience, much more enjoyable. But even to this day, if I go to a regular doctor, I have to mention, if I have a UTI or something, and I say I need to have a test because I'm having, these symptoms, and they're like, "Well, do you get those a lot? Have you been to a urologist?" And then I have to say at the urgent care, "I'm transgender. The tissue down there is getting all thin. I'm
Yeah.
more prone to getting these." Because then they put me
And
on
then they
estrogen.
and then they look at you with that tilted head.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like, trust me, I've been through
Another
this
teaching
before.
moment. Oh joy,
Yes.
oh bliss.
So all medical residents need to be taught about this, because you will run
Yes.
into, you know, 1 to 5% of your patients will be trans, and you need to be compassionate, and you need to know what the specifics, at least at a basic level. But fortunately, here in the United States, as there probably is in Canada and the UK, there are people that you can find who specialize in this kind of care. And what?
However,
Mm-hmm.
however, now now that we're seniors, I feel like we're lab rats again because
Yes.
you get all these doctors that are supposedly no trans people, and trans people, and it's like, but when it comes to the aging trans person and what your needs are and stuff, you get that tilted head again. Like, that, like the guy, like the endocrinologist that I said, oh, he gave me my testosterone. That's because I told him to. That's I
Wow.
interject. I interject. No, well, but but you have, it's a man, right? So you have to do. You have to be. You have to you have to interject it like into the conversation for them to make it seem like it's their idea.
That's really interesting.
Well,
Yes, of
yeah,
course.
that's what we learned, what women learn to do to get what they want, right?
It's sort of the opposite of mansplaining.
Exactly.
But yeah, it's
Period.
they need to know the
Yeah.
basics of our lives, and as you and I were
I think Lenny
discussing,
just had a head tilted experience.
I did. I was like, what? Um,
See, a man is a man is a man is a man is a man.
um, but what's interesting is
Sorry,
we
Lenny, I
we
love
need a
you.
balance. I love you too, honey. A balance of these hormones throughout our lives, and as we get older, I think you and I were discussing in our private chat that we should be studied, because there was this theory that went around that women after menopause should not take
Yes.
hormone replacement therapy because they're more likely to get breast cancer. And it was a very slight increase, and not to the point where, if you're taking them, you feel better and your emotions are more regulated and your body feels better. And so now they reversed those findings and said, no, it's fine.
And it's good for
Postmenopausal,
your heart.
it's good for your heart. And trans
Yeah.
men, because they take testosterone, may have a slightly higher increase in cardiovascular issues,
Yeah.
symptoms,
But you
more
need
as
to
men
be
do.
but you need to be with an endocrinologist that knows what the fuck they're doing. You need to see, you want to be in between like those, and I say go on the less. Less is more always. Less is
Yes.
more always. Always
And
go. I always do the bare minimum.
I
That's
always
how you.
say I'm on a maintenance dose now,
Yeah, maintenance dose. Yeah,
right? Because
yeah,
if you start off and you get all your hair and your body changes, your hips maybe
yeah.
slim out a little bit, then maybe bring it down a level. But we will in the future have a medical expert as a guest
We will.
to
Dr.
iron out some of these.
Longjohn.
I don't think it'll be Dr. Longjohn. I forget his name, but I'll find him. Who can talk about some of these issues? Because as we get older, and there's more of us, because we're, there's, trust me, there are a lot more trans elders out there than you know. They're just not as attractive
Yeah,
as
but
we are, and not as vocal as we
it's
are.
not like the amount that if we had the same mortality rate as normal people, we'd be like there'd be tons. There's a few. There's a few.
Well, and
There's not a lot. There's
and
not a
somebody
lot
posted
that
on
had a life lived trans experience since they were kids.
And somebody posted on Threads, just that I answered to them today, why don't we see more trans elders? And I said, oh, we're out here. Just a lot of our peers didn't survive because of
Yeah.
substance abuse,
Period. That's
AIDS,
it. Yeah. That's it. Yeah.
self unaliving.
Like when
So
I hear other ones go, oh, but so and so is, and it's like, sure, she's 65, but she transitioned 5 years ago, bless her heart, but she's not the same experience, right? I've got friends like that, but it's like they're not the same. That's why I love doing the show with you, because it's like it's a peer. You're an actual peer that I can talk to about it, right? And there's very few of us that are, and and the ones that are around, I don't want to be around them because most of us are so unhealed.
it
And
takes a lot of healing. And I am so fortunate. I had to do straight work and, finally get to retire and hopefully have some freedom. But I
you're not
had
all
to
messed
work.
up like all of us crazy women trannies.
I had to work so I could get healthcare
Psychotrannies,
and therapy.
psychotranny, qu'est-ce que c'est?
Fa 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 fa. But I needed therapy not because I was fucked up, although I do occasionally have panic attacks and anxiety, but because I have to deal with society that doesn't.
And he's a serial monogamist.
I am, but I
So is my
love my
husband.
loves. But you know, therapy helped, and it helped me to heal, and it helped me
Yes,
to learn to accept
therapy.
myself. And I think more people need to, even if
If
you
you're
don't
not
go into
if
traditional
you're not in
therapy.
therapy, I can't be your friend.
A
Well,
life
what
lived trans, sponsored by Getting Therapy.
and specifically Freudian bullshit, Oedipal complex bullshit. But there are therapists out there who specialize in trans lives and can help you come to an understanding. And I love myself more, and I feel more confident. And I'm like, I am okay, and I did these things, and I was successful, and I did make it through.
Don't you?
And
Can I ask you a question?
yeah,
Like, with all that we have today, like we have so many, I'm sure there's a lot of trans people that are taking psych and stuff, you know what I mean? That are, I think I'd be more comfortable with the actual, I find it weird. I guess what I'm trying to say is, don't you think it's weird in this day and age that there is, and I know there's good ones, but it's like, if you're if somebody is working with you in your transition and they're your psychiatrist that's going to sign off on shit, don't you think it should be a trans person?
I don't necessarily believe that. I think, but it has to be someone who is familiar with the trans experience and compassionate, because nobody goes
Like
into
really,
therapy if they're not
really
compassionate.
know it.
Because I think it's hard to find trans therapists, first of all. Hard, but it's getting easier. But I had one therapist who didn't even know what trans was. This is during the pandemic, and my therapist of 9 years died unexpectedly of
Oh God! So you had
aggressive.
to teach again. Oh my
Oh,
God!
and I had to drop her because she was sweet and she was older and she was here in New York. But I was like, "You suck." I'm like, I don't want to. I don't want to
And
educate you.
that must have been really for you to do that. She must
Oh
have really
yeah,
sucked.
because I'm very kind and I hate
Yeah.
to confrontation. But then I found a young therapist who's, I think, cisgender male, and he's so compassionate and he's helped me so. And he's also Buddhist, and he
Ooh,
practices meditation, and he
nice.
just gets it. And we're just on the same tip. And people are like, "Well, why are you still in therapy? You seem fine to me." Like, well, I was like, "Well,
Oh my
my
God.
mom still doesn't always get it, or some of my friends still don't get it." and it really helps me to even out my anxiety from day to day. And meditation, I have to say, is helping me, even though it's very hard for me because I have monkey mind, right? It just bounces from place to place. It's very hard for
Sure.
me to
But when
get.
people say that, it's like hello, it's like, getting to know oneself and learning how to be an even better, person. You never graduate from that.
Well, what
You know
is
what I
it?
mean?
Was it Socrates who said something to the effect of the unexamined life is not worth living?
Exactly.
And so
Period.
many
People that ask
people.
that, I'm going like, thank you for letting me know that I don't want to be around you.
Thank you. Because there are some people who never go there. They never want to examine their own life. And they're like, no, I'm just a straight man and I'm
Oh, they're so
not attracted
boring.
to
Fuck.
trans women. And I'm a man's
I
man.
want
And
to
this
hear
is
the dirt. I want to hear you guys. I want to hear those revelations. Like, oh my God, I was such an asshole when I did this. Like, I want to hear these. I think. I think having a relationship with, like, a friendship with another person that you can, like, be in a confessional with and just fucking dump it. You're as
right.
sick as your secrets person
As
that
sick as
helps
your
you.
secrets.
That
Thank you
helps you
so much. You're as sick
purify
as your
the fucking
secrets.
vessel. You know what I mean?
And
Because
this is
that
why therapists are so good, because friends, you don't even always are honest with your friends. But a therapist, and
I
I don't,
am.
I'm, you are you good for you? Well, you are
Fuck
with
yeah.
me, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And that's why I love you
That's
so
why I don't
much.
have many friends.
No, I love you for that. But, like a therapist is non judgmental. You can tell them anything. And if they're good, they're non judgmental and they'll just guide you to the path you need to find for yourself. And the best ones that I've had have done exactly that.
Yes. Lay.
But some people don't even want to go there. They're so afraid of their secrets that they don't want to look at them.
Well, and those are the people you got to run from.
Right. And that's why I think, this is a rumor. I can't substantiate it, but they say a lot of
Tell me.
Republicans are secretly gay.
Oh my God, you're
A lot of.
kidding.
No, you're joking. But they're, these men in power who've never addressed their attraction to either other men or being
Oh
bisexual.
yeah.
Or I mean, at the Grinder app crashed at the Republican National
Yeah.
Convention.
Well, the most
So,
powerful in the world are the most powerful men in the world are always are always the submissives that are paying thousands of dollars to us to stick things up their hoo ha.
yeah, or to feminize them, they
Yeah, or
just want to
beat them or
be,
tell them how
yeah.
horrible they are. It's like that's their, we're their fucking spiritual, release, right?
Yeah. No, I had a friend who was a dominatrix here in New York, and she said, "Oh, I never have to do any sexy stuff. All I have to do is put them in diapers or put them in a dress
Yeah, I
and
could do it too, but it freaked
degrade
me out.
them."
I'd always
That's
send them
it.
to
Yeah,
Tiggy. Tiggy was great. Tiggy loved doing it. She
I
I
was.
think that's
hated
a
them.
special.
They were
I
the
think that's a special.
worst.
I was
They're the
gonna say our
worst, right?
producer was one, but I didn't. I thought I'd let you out yourself on the
I
show.
did the Mr. Dress Ups. Turn them into little
Mr. Dress
sissy.
Up. I called him Mr. Dress Up.
Yes, that's why I said it.
Ah!
That actually sounds kind of fun. Like it's like playing with dolls.
No, but
Mr.
then
Dre-
you have to jerk off their little cocks and like
Oh
fist their bum
well,
holes, and
We'd have
then
to
it
like.
loses the glamour.
And me and Tiggy, the first one we did is like we had to like take him down to Davy Street, like at the phone booth there, and then he'd like, and then we had to walk down the block, and then we'd have to pretend that we saw this bitch on the stroll that was like not supposed to be, that she was on our corner, and beat the shit out of her right there in front of everybody.
wow, that's intense.
And then
Okay,
that,
that's an
and then
entire new episode.
they would like come in their pants doing it.
Wow. Yeah, there's a humiliation kink, and look, no kink shaming here because everybody's got one. But again, examine
But
your
shame
inner
is part of the
life.
kink, honey.
Right, right. But yeah, even now we have to train doctors, and even when I went to have a colonoscopy a few years ago, I had a nurse come to me and she said, "Oh my God, I would have never guessed you're trans. You look so good."
Oh
I'm like,
fuck!
what
Thanks
the
for
fuck does that mean? Like,
that
why
is
would
so
you say I'm like
weird.
in a hospital gown with my butt hanging out,
I
about to get
know.
sedated? I'm
Oh,
like, why would you
that
say that?
that's why it's so. We were talking about surgeries last week, or well, I guess we can add it to this because
Sure.
because I remember the first time I got my boob job, I had to, everybody was going to Dr. Denho. Shout out to all the Vancouver transsexuals listening to this. Dr. Denho, and he was the tit doctor. He did the perfect teardrop titties, right?
Oh, nice.
So, but you had to have had the bottom surgery. But everybody said, but it doesn't matter, just lie and say you had it. So I went and I told, and he said, oh yeah, we'll give you this and this. And he was going, when did you have the surgery? And I just lied and said, right. So during the surgery, when you go to the hospital, I was in like a bikini tuck of my fucking life. Wow. And then I had like a little, oh my God. And I was like, the first thing I did when I woke up from the anesthetic was like check my panties to see if they fucking pulled them down. The first thing, can you imagine? You're going through this fucking trauma surgery, and the first thing you think of is not like, oh, how did my tits go? Touch my tooth. It's to go down there to see. It was just crazy.
That's a whole other episode I want to get into. Because we can talk about binding and tucking.
Oh my God. So yeah, doctors, like you couldn't, so you just lied to them. Like you just, I remember I would go to doctors and like fucking like, that's the episode we're talking about, right? Lab rats. Yeah. Sorry. I'm kind of mixed up here. We're,
senior moment.
We did a couple of recordings this week, today. So anyways, but yeah, I just remember anyways, now I lost it. Forget it. What was I saying?
We'll get back to it.
What was I saying?
But you were in surgery and you wanted to make sure that they didn't check you. But, doctors, we shouldn't have to lie.
I know.
We should not have to lie. We should just be able to go in there and be comfortable. This is our experience.
Oh, yeah. I would lie and say that I'd lie and say that I needed HRT, my HRT. And they'd say, when did you have your hysterectomy? Or I'd say I'd had a hysterectomy. Mm-hmm. And I'd fucking get it. Yeah. It's like, and I'd just get, and I'm going away. So it'd give me like enough for like 3 months or something. And then I'd never see him again.
And a lot of these chode.
But we're not condoning doing this. This is wrong. We are not, do not do this at home.
Unless you live in the United Kingdom, then do.
And then do, but it's like, this is all just a simulation.
What you have to do to stay alive, right? And we shouldn't have to lie, but these bro podcasters like Joe Rogan and Alex Jones and probably all the rest of them are on testosterone supplements because as men get older, their T levels drop and they have to get testosterone supplements. So it's okay for cisgender men to get it, but it's not okay for trans men. And all of a sudden, Marty's frozen.
Can you see me frozen?
You're so frozen. Your video is anyway.
You're so frozen.
Oh my God. Like, when your heart's not open. Ooh,
that's amore.
When I can that Madonna song. When I kind of sort of liked her finally because she wasn't like cool Elsa when I was young. Frozen.
Elsa, come back.
I don't know. I think in post I won't be frozen.
Okay. It'll be fine in the edit.
It'll be fine in the edit. Blame it on the edit.
As they say in the exotic Marigold Hotel, everything will be fine in the end, and if it's not fine, it's not the end.
Aww.
My mom's favorite saying.
That's sweet.
I just have to interject real quick. My mom's 88.
We got 2 minutes.
She's stunning. I did FaceTime with her this morning, and she had already been up, got dressed, put her makeup on, her lip liner. Her lips were like glossy pink. I was like, wow. She looks like a goddess. I'm like,
how old is she?
88.
Jesus, she's a superstar.
She had a leopard skin top. Top.
She's Puerto Rican, right?
Cuban.
Yeah, Cuban. So you're BIPOC.
I am BIPOC. I look very white, and she always says, "Oh, Lenny, we're white from Spain." I'm like, Mom, my hair is so kinky. I said, there haven't been white people in Spain since the Moors invaded in the 1400s. She doesn't like that. 2 minutes. God. Wow. So in 2 minutes, doctors need to learn about the trans experience.
Conclusion.
And they need to take care of trans elders. And Marty and I are going to start our international senior home for trans elders.
And rock stars.
And rock stars, and we're gonna have Granny Drag Night on Saturdays.
Granny Drag Night, yeah. Don't forget your Jello. Don't forget your Jello. And if you're late, you don't get fruit cup.
Fruit cup. I love fruit cup.
Oh my God, my camera just turned off.
Just whatever. We'll just put like a screenshot of you if for some reason the video doesn't come through. But thank you for joining us. I'm going to go to the outro now, which I have right here. We really do hope you enjoyed this episode of the Life Live Trans podcast. We'll be releasing new episodes every week. Thank you for subscribing to our Patreon. And if you want to find us individual, you can find us at Marty Pants, Pantz.
That's me.
Or Detached Retsina on Instagram and lennyzenith.com, everywhere else. But we will be giving away a prize to our 50th subscriber. We're not quite sure what it is yet, but depends on who you are and what you want. Thank you so much, Marty. I love you.
Love you too, Lenny.
We'll see you soon. I'll be moving.
Bye, everybody.
Out of
Give
New
us
York.
5 stars. Do all that stuff. Lenny's moving. Send him vibes.
Good vibes. Yay.
Yay, go kitty.
A Life Lived Trans is a Diva Down production, produced by Carmen Laurent and Carly, aka Tranby.
Your hosts are Lenny Zenith and Marty Perinek. Thank you for supporting our Life Lived Trans testimonies.
For full episodes and bonus content, please visit www.patreon.com/alifelivtrans.